Hey you guys, welcome to my channel or welcome back and thanks for joining me tonight. I am Funky Like Feathers and tonight we're going to get some writing sprints in for NaNoWriMo 2022. So, we are like at that halfway point, right? We are halfway into Nano and I mean, let's just check up on everyone. How's everyone doing with their word counts? How's everyone feeling about NaNoWriMo right now? We're 2 weeks in, right? So, I mean, tomorrow is officially halfway, but let's just consider it, right? Halfway into NaNoWriMo, and I mean, this is a lifestyle at this point. It's not just a thing that we do for fun, right? Oh, Rowena, my story has changed 3 times already. You know, sometimes that happens. And I'm not going to say that it doesn't. I mean, that's just kind of the way that it goes sometimes. Like, because sometimes characters veer off, sometimes you get new ideas along the way and things have to change. Sometimes you have to add entirely new characters out of nowhere, and they could be extremely important characters, but you never considered adding them beforehand. It just, these things happen. And that's okay, right? I think one of the biggest things when it comes to doing nano is trying to kind of go with the flow when it comes to that, right? And allowing yourself some of that wiggle room when it comes to your story. That's gonna bother me. Because there's a lot that can happen in your story, obviously. We try to plan as much as possible beforehand to try to kind of keep our characters on track. But when it comes down to it at the end of the day, sometimes everything just happens. The good thing is that you have ideas flowing. The fact that you have changed your story 3 times means that you have had 3 major ideas of where to take this story, which is amazing, right? So give yourself some credit on that end, because if you couldn't come up with anything and you hadn't touched the story at all, that would be a lot more difficult, right? Because trying to get into the groove of writing in general at that point would be more difficult than if you've got all these cool ideas going. So that's not as bad as you think. Give yourself a high five for that. I do have hot chocolate tonight, as well as water. I do have my water. But I'm still trying to stay kind of low on the caffeine intake. So we shall see how this goes. I'm still awake though, still awake for right now. So, I mean, and so I've got 2 weeks right now with no book classes. I'm not teaching for 2 weeks. I mean, I'm teaching this weekend, or I'm doing a workshop this weekend. I've got a writing workshop this weekend. However, not having classes during the week is weird. So I've got all this time. Did I write today? No, I did not. No, I didn't. Is that bad? No, it's okay. Because you know what? We'll get there. And we have writing tonight. And then tomorrow we're meeting up in person. And then Wednesday I'll be here again. Right? So don't worry. The words will happen. The words will happen. I'm not that concerned. I have been reading, just not for class, right? So it's interesting though, because especially, and this is one of those things, like this is your time period to get ready, especially for next week, because next week we do have Thanksgiving coming if you're in the continental United States, right? So Thanksgiving is next Thursday. So now's the time to kind of start prepping yourself for the fact that you're probably not going to write on that day. So you may want to go ahead and start really front loading those words if you haven't started doing that already. And really making sure that writing is a part of your everyday. Right. How's everybody doing on those badges? Is everyone earning those digital badges? I know I'm not going to get the one for meeting the minimum, or like that average 1,667 words every day. I know I'm not going to get that one because there were some days that were not so great for numbers. But there was another day where I wrote like 4,000 words. So I mean, it balances itself out, right? But I know I'm not gonna get that one badge. I'm okay with that. I've accepted it. And like even my kid is making sure to update her word count every day. So that's been awesome and fun. And yeah, there was that one day that she forgot that she needed to make sure to log her words. Oh, Alice, you are not doing Nano this year. You are editing. Love it. You know, you can also do editing as Nano, just 50K words, right? I don't know how long the piece is that you're working on right now, but I mean, you can edit. You can be a NaNoWriMo rebel and edit instead of write. I did that a couple years ago. It's not that bad because editing is more involved than most people realize, right? It's not just reading. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, especially when people consider like the fact that they're paying someone to do this service to their manuscript, right? They think that you're just like hanging out and reading a manuscript. It's like, no, we're not. It's very different. Right now, if you've ever done annotating when it comes to reading, like annotating is more involved because it's more active reading than just regular reading for pleasure. But editing is like hardcore, you guys. Like we are going back over this thing 1,000 times, looking for different pieces of information because different things pop out to us. And it's weird when you are editing because you don't just like read a story to read a story. It's so weird. It's so weird. If you have never attempted editing, ask a kid to write you something and then read it. Try to make sure that you understand exactly what was happening during that. All the tenses need to be correct. All of the correct phrases. You need to make sure that they're not redundant. You need to make sure that like you've got a nice overarch. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So yes, like writing, I want to say now again, I've done both sides of this, but writing and editing are both very labor intensive, right? So neither of them is just kind of like, oh, I just sit down and like suddenly my project is done. It's not how that happens. Oh, I love this even more. All right, Alice, I'm editing a funeral scene, so need my dark soul. I love this. This is like reading anything that my kid writes because my kid loves writing like these very like macabre kinds of things and like she wants to build all this depth into it and I'm like I'm here for it. Like let's make this happen, right? I do love a good funeral scene. There's so many emotions that you can have in a funeral scene. Like you can have somebody who's crying and bawling their eyes out. You can have somebody else who's like happy to be there. I think that's kind of those are the perspectives I love seeing at a funeral. I want somebody who's angry. I want somebody who is, you know, like sitting there going, had it coming. You know, and I think that that's one of the personality styles that's not appreciated as much at funerals as it maybe could be. Like get more screen time for the characters who are just kind of like, I mean, yeah, we knew this was going to happen, you know. I feel like they don't get enough appreciation there, which is so sad, right? So, I mean, yeah, it always makes me laugh when it's funeral scenes because it this sounds so wrong. But as somebody who's been to a few funerals, there are different personalities that you want to see there, right? I mean, as long as I'm not going to my own funeral. That's kind of important. But and of course this is like for people who are like at least like 50 years of age or older, of course. I don't know, maybe younger. It depends on the person, right? I mean, so okay, so this is one that I always think of because a rightful death, right? So it's like if Hannibal Lecter kills a character, there's usually a larger intended purpose, right? And I actually just got a book that's apparently based on kind of a similar theory where if you're going to commit murder, like that's cool. We're good with that. It's just that like that murder needs to serve a public service of some kind. Like you need to pick the right person so that there's a reason for it, which I think is just hilarious and awesome. But I mean, okay, so this is also like the John Wick situation. Now, if you have not seen John Wick, let me just destroy the entire first movie for you. It, his wife dies, and then this group of like young mob thug wannabes break into John Wick's house and then they kill his dog, which his dead wife gave him. Okay, so my husband had to warn me about this because, like, y'all, when they kill the dog, I'm not there. Um, and so my husband had to warn me about that. But then the John Wick goes after the kid who killed his dog, and that kid's dad is like the head of like the big mob in town, and so he goes and tells the dad, he's like, "Look, I'm going to kill your son," and the dad is like, "I get it." He's like, "Yeah, yeah, like you don't do that. Like he should have known better. That's not what you do." And like accepts the fact that John Wick is going to go murder his son. Like what? Like that was completely unexpected. So that was a very refreshing kind of scene to get into, because I was like, this is something you never see in anything, right? Okay, mine is a child's accidental death. That is not cool. Like that is a really rough scene to write. That is a really rough scene to read. My feelings go out to you. May the force be with you, because that is going to be a rough one to make it through. Get the Kleenex. Definitely get the Kleenex for that one. That's going to be a tough one. Okay, so is there comic relief in that project, or are we just like in a really bad spot? Like that is a rough project to deal with. Oh my God. That's going to, yeah, that's a rough one, y'all. I don't know if I can. I mean, like, I do a lot of different kinds of projects, but there are some of them that are just not as emotionally easy to make it through, right? I'm hoping this is a work of fiction. Let me just go through that first. Is this a work of fiction? I sure hope so. That's, oh, that's a, you need some coffee. That's a really tough one. I really hope that that is a work of fiction, complete fiction, not based on any real situation, because I have been to those funerals and that's not fun either. Like I said, I've been to a lot of funerals. I was not connected to any of these deaths. Let's just put that out there. I've just known a lot of people who've died. Now everybody who knows me is questioning their association. It's okay. So we are going to do a quick 15-minute sprint. So I'm going to put 15 minutes on the clock. All right, so 15 minutes on the clock, and we are going to get a quick sprint in. All right, ready, set, go. 10 minutes. right. There's your 15 minutes. Let's get our word counts. Get your word counts. Update the Update the NaNoWriMo website so that you have that ready to go. Okay. Where's the Nano website? I have to make sure I'm on the correct keyboard. All right. And I need to make sure that I log in as myself, because my kid logged in as herself, so we can update her words after her screen was turned off at the end of the day. All right. Open it. All right. Got 9:49. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm still kind of on track. So, yeah, like I did not write that much over the weekend. All right. Rubina, 296. Sweet. And Alice, you got through a page. For that kind of manuscript, I am proud of you for getting through that page. You should be proud of yourself. Like, that's intense, man. Very intense. Man. Ugh. All right, drink up, you guys. Water, lemonade, coffee, whatever it is you have. Get something to drink. Stay hydrated. Need to. Has anybody been taking naps lately? Just because, like, Nano takes it out of you, man. There's something about coming up with all these words that is not always easy, right? And so it just, man, it takes it out of me every now and then. And even, I have to say, even editing, like, it can get very laborious because you sit there and it takes a lot more energy than most people realize. And so, like, your brain can only handle so much at a time. And I don't think people pay attention to that, which is also part of the reason you need to make sure that you're taking breaks, right? And that's one of the things we talk about all the time, is that, like, you know, the Pomodoro technique, talk about that all the time. But again, like, small little sprints. You don't have to do everything all at once, right? That's not how the writing process works. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions. And that's why I constantly talk about the fact also that, like, don't worry, your first draft is going to be terrible. And that's okay. And there's going to be certain times where, like, you're writing it and you're like, oh, it's magical. It's magical. It's all coming together. Oh my God, yes. And then you go back and read it and go, what was I thinking? It's okay. It's fine. We've all been there. Don't worry about it. Because the best part about a first draft, nobody else is going to read it. Nobody. Not a single person, right? It's all you. It's all you. You're going to read it, and then you're going to do a reread. Once you're done, the first person who reads it, it's going to be you. It's not going to be anybody like me, right? Or Alice. It's not going to be us. Editors don't get that draft. So don't worry about it. You do you in that first draft. You can write some of the weirdest things in that first draft because nobody else is going to read it. It's going to be fine. All right? Just focus on getting the words out. It was funny because I saw this picture the other day. It was a perfect representation of what a first draft was, because it literally said, like, first draft complete. And it was a bathroom that somebody had built. However, they had the door all the way open, okay? And then the toilet had been installed, but, like, that door could not close because the toilet was in the way. And they're like, it's cool. The first draft is done. And I'm like, see, that's exactly what a first draft is. Like, all the parts are mostly there, right? Like, you have the door, you have the floor, you have the toilet, like, well done, right? The floor has molding around it. It's beautiful. It just needs to be rearranged a little, right? So that's like, what is that? I'm pretty sure it's some kind of, like, My Little Pony soundbite or something. And it's like, oh, you know, it just needs a little reshaping to the salon. And that's exactly what rewriting and editing is for. It's all the reshaping. that gets done, right? Because other than that, like you have everything that you need, right? Like you got the parts, you got the gist of it. You have the characters, you got your setting, you have a plot, you've got a story arc that happens, you got the climax. You're like, yes, I'm amazing. And then you're gonna sit there and go, wow, okay, we're just gonna do some reshaping, right? You're going to cut some things, you're going to add some things, you're going to embellish on other things. That's all you're doing. You're going to the salon. You're getting your manuscript work done. That's it. It's going to be fine, right? The hardest part is just getting the ideas out of your head, right? So somebody even asked on my region's Facebook page, they were like, what do you do with all these ideas? I'm like, you get them out of your head is what you do, right? Because that way they're not just bebopping up there. Alice, this was a 5-page short story. Now it's 25,000 words. Exactly, right? You're like, just needs a little reshaping, right? Because you have the main gist down there. You had the meat, right? You were like, here are the main points that I need to make in this story. And then you just take each of those points and you're just expanding on it and building it and going, yes, absolutely. This is what I'm going to do with that. And then that little idea turns into a bigger idea. And that's what you need in order to make a story. I mean, that's amazing. That's beautiful. I love how that happens because 5 pages, most people be like, okay, it's 5 pages. But when you turn it into 25K, suddenly people are like, oh, you really wrote something here, right? So absolutely expand on those ideas. But there's good stuff in every single story. I don't care how bad a story is. Y'all, they made a movie about snakes on a plane. They made a movie about sharks in a tornado. If they can make those movies, just think about the stories you can write. And I mean, this is one of the best parts too, is that like I've literally had people feel like they cannot have like an editor, like I don't want you like to read this because like you don't understand like how unique I am. And I'm like, honey, I want to believe you. I'm like, I've read some stuff. Like, and I think that's one thing to always understand is that when you do approach an editor, like one, you can ask us if we have like certain genres that we specialize in, or if we have certain genres that we will not, interact with, because there are certain criteria that some editors have. So just ask them like, hey, do you have certain things that you do or do not specialize in, just so that, you kind of know what you're getting into as well. And most of the time, editors are editors because we love stories, right? We love finding amazing books to read. And there's only one way that we get into that, and it's by reading a lot of weird stuff. All right, there's only one way to know if we do or do not like a genre, and it's by reading it. So never worry about contacting somebody if you have something that is out there in total left field, or like the ball that hit the car in the parking lot. Like, it does not matter how far out there your story is, there is something amazing in it. I promise you. Because seriously, Sharknado, snakes on a plane, 50 Shades of Grey, Twilight. Okay, if we have all of these other options out there, all right, nothing should be holding you back from what it is you're writing. What's a fave mid-grade book you should read? Actually, there's a series that I really like, and it's this trilogy that I just finished. It is the Nightmares trilogy, ironically enough. It was actually a lot of fun. It was a very cool concept, and the original story starts with, the first book is literally right there. Back in my stacks. The other two are right, the green and the black one right there. But it's Nightmares, and I take the covers off, y'all. Sorry. It's written by Jason Segel, Segel. He's in How I Met Your Mother, I believe, and he also reads for the narration. And the concept was so cool. So the concept of Nightmares was the fact that like the only way to get through your nightmare, or to, no longer have that nightmare anymore, is you had to allow somebody to overcome that fear and beat their nightmare. And there's like a portal in this kid's house where he can actually get into the land of nightmares because of the anger, frustration they had because his mom died, and he moves into his stepmom's house, which is like down the road. It's actually a really cool concept on this story, I have to say. And then the second and third books deal with the fact that there's something coming from the other side and everything. It's very cool. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, I have to say. So, Rubina, I love how you know where all these books are. Yes, I do know where most of my books are, even though it looks like things are not organized. They actually are. I don't know how far up you guys can see, but there's actually, yeah, I mean, there's another one. It goes up pretty high back there. But yes, I do know where my books are. Most of my house is categorized for the books. My living room, it's a library by itself, and it has leather-bound classics and stuff like that, and research materials. And then my bedroom has a bunch of, let's see, I've got Jenny Ivanovich stuff in there. I've got Dean Koontz, Stephen King. I've got like major ones, but like most of the stuff in here. Okay, so this shelf and then everything behind my head is everything that I've physically read this year. Okay, that does not include obviously Kindle and audiobooks, but those are the books I've read just this year. Okay, other stuff is like other series that I really like. Most of the stuff down here has been either for classes or stuff that I just haven't gotten to yet, but a lot of mass market. These right here are like my journals and writing things that I use. So yeah, I'm a category person, right? Like some people like to do by color. I don't do color. To me, y'all, if you organize by color, let's consider this. Let's consider this. Just the Nightmares trilogy. I've got black one, a green one, and then the first one is purple. Okay, that one with like the little circle on it, that's the first Nightmares book. If you organize by color, your series are not going to be together. It just can't. I don't know how people organize by color. Although there is this one independent author I saw on TikTok, and she actually wrote her books and then published them in a color gradient. She broke the system here, okay? She published them like that on purpose so that people could have their rainbow libraries and show her entire series. And so they go in order in this amazing rainbow. It's very cool, actually, I have to say. If you want to do a rainbow library, that's a good way to do it. But I cannot do the rainbow thing. I just can't. A series has to be together. So, because at the end of the year, the reason I have all the books that I've read this year right here is because at the end of the year, I stack up my books next to me and I try to make the stack bigger than me. Personal challenge. That's always my goal. I just want to read books, a book stack that's bigger than me. And I'm not that tall, you guys. I am 5'3" with my shoes on. So I'm pretty sure I made it. But, you know, it's just kind of fun. My favorite spine is for the Monk TV show. The first 4 seasons, the pick is at the bottom and the... Hold on. Hold on. You're not going to believe this. I have Monk. We have a lot in common. I have Monk. Yes. About a guy with OCD totally screws with those with OCD. Yes. I have so much in common with Monk. If Monk and Sheldon from Big Bang Theory had a baby, it'd be me. Because that is my flavor of autism. Alice, I'd want to do 50 Shades of Purple. See? I'm telling you. Like, if people considered this before they started publishing things, absolutely. All right. Since we're already down here, let's go ahead and pull that up. All right. Here's that Nightmares book. See what I mean? It is cool. It's so cute. Look at the kid on the back. He's got his coffee and he's so tired because he can't sleep. All right, he can't sleep because of the whole thing. And it is ages 8 to 12. So it is right there in that middle grade. It is a really fun trilogy, I have to say. I have to say. So yeah, I'm telling you. I know where my books are. And I have some interesting things. Okay, I have some very interesting books, I have to say. And I get certain books just because they're interesting. One of my favorite books is literally called Swine Science. And on the spine, it is one of my leather-bound classics. This is a very old book. And on the spine, it actually has a line drawing of a pig. Why do I have it? Because I can. Because I found it at a library for like $2. Why would I not have this book? Okay. But see, there's stuff like this where it's like, to have books like this is so much fun. So, but I wouldn't have that book unless somebody wrote it. So if you have these ideas, like, you have to write them because otherwise people like me can't buy them. Okay, see, that's the problem. And some of us just like collecting books. Other people like reading them. Okay, like, I'm not just a hoarder. I really do read these things. But yes, some of them I do have just because they're funny. That's reason enough for me. I don't know about y'all. All right, so let's try to get another round of 15 minutes in. So you guys pull out your projects. All right, 15 minutes on the clock. Ready, set, go. About 11 minutes. All right, get your word count and update your NaNoWriMo word count. Gotta remember to update those word counts. Okay, go to the website, click the button, delete the 0. Why do we have that 0 there? More frustrating than anything else. It's like, can I get rid of that 0? Because I always have to delete it. Right? Does that bother anybody else? That's just me. 385 with distractions. Yes. Distractions are a part of the everyday, though. I think that's important to remember, is that distractions are going to always be there, right? So like never assume that you're going to have a perfect writing day, right? Because like you heard one of my dogs go off. Like I have 4. Okay, there's 4 dogs, there's 2 cats. And you know how that happens. Like sometimes there's a cat and they just plop their big old patootie up on top of the desk and I have to work around that. And then dogs randomly bark at things. Right now the windows are closed. I have the blinds closed, but they still find something to bark at because by golly, Alice, 2 paragraphs left in the scene. Yes, you guys, progress. Do love progress. By the way, did everybody see my amazing pajama pants? In case y'all were wondering how fancy we were today. Yeah, I went to the library today. So, you know, support your local library. I did wear this to the library today. It is one of my favorite hoodies. But then I got home and it is chilly outside for Texas, which is shocking and amazing. I am so glad that it is chilly. But that also means that we don't own any pants that are warm other than regular jeans. And because I was getting comfortable and nobody was going to see my pants, but then I kept backing up over here. You can now see that I do have amazing pajama pants on. That's okay. I'm still being productive with my pajama pants. It's all good, right? No judgment. It's fine. This is George. See what I mean about distractions? It's ridiculous. Hi, George. Yes. This is George. He's a tricolor corgi mix. He's adorable and he knows it. Right? So, I mean, everybody has them. Hank is sleeping in the chair. It's fine. That is actually a twin size mattress. It stays on the floor in my office because that's how big my dog is. Yeah. When Hank stretches out, he does take up the entire mattress. So, you know, I have to have a bed that fits him. For most dogs, though, a toddler or a baby mattress works beautifully and it costs way less than a dog bed and it lasts a lot longer. Just life tip, pro tip, pro dog tip, get a baby mattress. Don't get like the orthopedic beds or whatever because, yeah, they always go flat, in case you're wondering. It's cold in North Florida, too. Good Lord. I mean, what is with this? I mean, I shouldn't be shocked that it's cold because it's full on November. But like just a couple days ago in November in Texas, we were wearing tank tops outside and it was nasty and humid and gross. And again, this is what I'm going to tell you guys. Take care of yourself. Like make sure you're taking all your vitamins because it is like prime time to get sick. So that's why like whenever you have that opportunity to write, like get your writing in because what you don't want is to feel like trash and then suddenly sit there and go, oh my God, I forgot to write my words today, or not be making your goals that you want to make, or have these ideas in your head that you want to get out, but you just can't write because you just don't feel well. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. I'm drinking my tea like crazy. Like I said, I've got a video back there about how to stay healthy in the office, specifically about how to make this tea. I drink it twice a day, every day now, just to make sure that I stay nice and healthy. I'm hitting the gym like 4 days a week. Like, we're doing this, right? Like, you've got to take care of yourself. Drink your water. Take a nap. Work in sprints. Do not think that you can write for an hour at a time. Your brain literally cannot handle that. It is too long for your head to concentrate, right? So that way too, you kind of get out of the front, get up, get out of the chair, walk around, like get the juices flowing. Goodness, if you need to put your laptop or whatever on the kitchen counter because you work better standing up, stand up. Like, if that's what works, make it work, man. I love how a lot of people now are getting like those standing desks or desks that change, right? So they go from like short to tall. I'm like, that is genius because again, it gets you out of the chair, right? I mean, sometimes you just need that change in perspective too. That's half the time why, like, so even in the goodie bags that I hand out for Nano, I try to make sure that there are things for like free coffee at local coffee spots because you got to get out of the house. You got to change the perspective. You got to get up and do something, right? That's part of the reason. I mean, like, y'all, 4 dogs. Like, it rained tonight, so I didn't get to take them for their walk, and they're all very sad about it. But last night, they did get to go for the walk. They were very excited about it, right? And my one dog has long hair, and she is very small, and so it's hilarious watching her walk because she looks like a sheepdog in the wind, right? So, like, all the hair comes back, and suddenly she can see because she's got these bangs that hang in front of her face, and it's hilarious, right? But she doesn't seem to mind, right? But there's little aspects like that. You know, if you're ever looking for weird stuff like that, there's always little aspects like that with people and animals and everything that you can actually utilize and put into other characters, right? There are writing prompts and ideas everywhere, right? So of course I've got my series going on. Oh, I didn't upload it to my YouTube today, did I? I've got writing prompts every day for Nano. So they're on my YouTube channel, they're on my TikTok. I'm posting them in the local writing group. But yeah, like and people have been asking where on earth I'm getting these prompts. You probably don't want to know. Nothing is inappropriate. Nothing is, like not okay for all ages. There's some stuff that is just hilarious and just weird and like, okay, why not? So yeah, like if you're not following me on TikTok, if you're not like already subscribed to YouTube, like change it up, try it. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, obviously, as well. Everything is funky like feathers. It's very easy to find me everywhere. Let the stalking begin. But yeah, and also I was also reading today because, like I said, I do that every day. So we are reading For the Wolf right now for my online book club, which is so much fun. So we meet every last Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it is a blast, I have to say. And I already picked out the book for next month, and I'm super excited. And but then I'm going to do a poll to see what everybody wants to read in January because I have some different ideas. It's gonna be a lot of fun. When I say I read, I mean like I read a lot. No. I read a lot, y'all. And I read some weird stuff. So, I mean, yeah, most of the stuff down here I've read. Like, it's just, that's how it goes. All right. When you like stories, that means not just the ones that you write, but then also some people don't like to read in the genre that they write. Are you guys like that? Do you like to read in the same genre that you write? Or are you like, no, I can't read that genre because you don't want it. I've heard people say they don't want it to influence their writing. Like they don't want it to they don't want to write a scene that they've already read kind of thing. I don't know. I think that's so weird. I don't know. I read a lot of genres. So it's just, I don't know. I loved the pop quiz earlier about one for middle grade. I do love pop quizzes. I'm very weird as far as like hanging out with students of any age because I read books for ages like 5 and up. So I read an entire series and I can sit there and talk to kids about books for hours. It's a blessing. Some people think it's just totally random, but I think it's awesome. And like, because no matter what, like, and that's part of the reason I tell people like write the book that you've got in your head, because no matter what, there is somebody out there who wants to read it. Because we read some really crazy stuff. Like just write it. Somebody's gonna read it, right? So Rubina, I read what I write so I know what I hate and what I've read. Yes, sometimes it's just about learning what not to do. And you're not wrong. You're not wrong because actually it was really interesting. I went to a book club and we had read the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. It's that blue one right there. And one of the people in the book club specifically mentioned how she was glad that like I brought up some topics because she thought that she just wasn't reading correctly or wasn't getting the information out of the book. And I was like, no. It's not you. It's the writer because they didn't put the information in there. And I was like, you're not wrong. They didn't do this. And she was like, oh, okay. Like, and it was a very sweet book. It was very like nice, laid back kind of thing. But like, there's a lot of potential in that book that was not carried through with, right? Like character development just wasn't really there, especially because you've got several students like in this kind of an orphanage at this point. It's just that there's 3 kids who all live together who are witches or whatever, but the lady who moves in is supposed to be teaching them things, but they never learn anything outside of like one lesson. You don't get to learn about any of the other lessons. And so once you start pointing stuff like that out, people are like, oh yeah, that's true. And like all of the female, or there is all but one female character has an A at the end of their name. Can we not? Like, there's weird stuff like that people don't notice until you have like an editor in the room, and then we start talking about stuff because we pick things apart. It's not that we're trying to be mean, we're not trying to tear authors apart. It's that we pay attention to things that not everyone pays attention to, because we do read a lot, right? Like we read a lot of different kinds of things so that we are better prepared to help you make your book better, right? So yeah, I mean, like part of the reason to read is so that you can find out what you do like and what you don't like. Because if you don't like something, that's just as important as what you do like. And not many people pay attention to that. There's actually this one chick on TikTok, and I've really been appreciating her posts because she specifically posts reviews where she talks about stuff that she does not like about books. And so many people like give her backlash for that. And she's like, I'm not going to lie about it. I'm going to be honest about what I thought. And I'm like, this is what we need. So I've been posting more like open and negative reviews about things because I see the potential. I see where they're wanting to go. And it's just not there, right? If you have read The House on the Cerulean Sea, the very Secret Society of Irregular Witches is going to be a very watered down version that's a little witchy. That's it. The House on the Cerulean Sea is if you take that book and beef it up and make it more complex and diverse. It's got a lot more dimension to it. But if you haven't read House on the Cerulean Sea, you're going to love that one. You're going to be like, oh yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. Then you're going to read House on the Cerulean Sea and be like, what was I thinking? But it's just, when you've read a lot of them, right? Like, oh man, in the Scythe trilogy, this SC right here, the Scythe trilogy, there's a lot of Neil Shusterman that I really like and I really enjoy. Gleanings just came out. Super excited. I have not read it yet. I really, really want to get into that one. But the Scythe trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies, just because of how complex it is. And I love dystopians. They're a lot of fun. But also the concepts that are brought up. I'm constantly going, man, I kind of wish that we lived in this society. As terrible as that sounds. But it's an amazing world that he's created because it's an entire society, and they kind of break it down throughout the book series, which is a lot of fun, right? The Everlost series, which is behind the plant right here, could have done without that one. That one was not great. But I mean, that's the thing is when you read a lot, you can say, hey, I liked this one. Hey, I didn't like this one. And you can utilize some of that stuff to put into your own books. Those aspects that you find that you really do like in other books, you can strive to kind of accomplish that same task. I mean, like if you want a really good plot that moves fast, the Inheritance Games trilogy, it says green, black, and black one here. These, man, you read those super fast. The chapters are so short, you end up going through it so fast. But there is a section, well, the whole trilogy actually, don't care about the characters at all. The plot was great. The pacing like blew through that. It covers the span of like a year, but the first 2 books happen in like the first 6 weeks because each one lasts 3 weeks. Really, the first one is 3 weeks. The second one is 2 weeks. And then there's a week time jump. And then the last one happens like 10 months later. So the pacing as far as like the overall trilogy, not a big fan, but they go fast. You read through that really fast because you want to know about the plot, but you don't care at all about the characters. Like a character could literally get blown up and you don't care, but you want to know what happens. But I mean, like if you want to know about how to make a plot that's amazing, read those. If you don't want to care about the character, read those. It's one of the weirdest things. If you want to know really how not to handle a character in a trilogy, Read the Uglies trilogy. One of the worst. Because between each book, the character literally gets completely redone. It's technically the same character, but she has like brain stuff done. She has surgeries done between every single book. It's one of the weirdest things. Like, you can't count on the same narrator from book to book. So if you want to know how not to handle that, read that trilogy. That was terrible. There's a lot of people who love that trilogy, but that drove me nuts, right? So, I mean, like, there's good and bad in a lot of stuff. It was a very cool society that they built. It was a very cool dystopian society. Again, dystopian, another, and it's YA as well. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's very cool to see in certain trilogies and just not in others, right? Or standalones, whatever. Yeah. And then there's funny things. If you are above the age of 18, this teal thing right here under Thunderhead, that is Ice Planet's Barbarians. You need to be of age in order to buy that, in order to read it. But it's a series of 21 books. And it's hilarious. It's really funny. It's really out there in more ways than one, but interesting. And then you realize that there's like this background behind the whole thing. Why not? Why not? Like I said, if they can make a movie about snakes on a plane, you can make a book series that's 21 books long about Ice Planet Barbarians. Think about it, people. And there's like a cult following for this series. Not even kidding. No. There's a lot of people who follow it. And I've read all 21. They're free on Kindle Unlimited, in case you're wondering. They're really funny, though. But yeah, there's tons of stuff out there. And even if you're wanting to write like a memoir or something, like, read memoirs. Read them. The yellow one is I'm Glad My Mom Died. That was an interesting read. Very intriguing. Hit home on a lot of stuff there. So, I mean, get ready for the hard-hitting book that's really going to just stab you in the chest there. But amazing book by Jeanette McCurdy. Nicely done. A nonfiction that I totally detested is this red one with the gold back there called The Library Book by Susan Orlean. That was terrible. I gave up on page 74 on that one, and I really wanted to like it, but she wrote so over the top romantically the entire time. I just can't. If you have a meeting with somebody, just go into the meeting with somebody. I don't need to know that their hair was blowing in the wind and their skirt rustled next to a leaf. Make it happen. Let's go. So that one was frustrating. DNF'd that one. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. So yeah, keep reading. Like, stay interested. You finished it. Oh my God. You go, girl. Because I just could not. And then I even looked to see if, like, possibly listening to the audio, like maybe if I could, because I listen to audiobooks when I'm at the gym doing cardio, because I'm bored. So, but I even saw that the audiobook for that was terrible because it's her reading it. And a lot of times authors don't do well when they narrate their own books. However, Jason Segel does do the narration for the Nightmares trilogy. Great narrator, have to say, only because I'm stubborn. I don't blame you. I did not start DNFing books until, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. I finally DNF'd a book. It was a very weird sensation. And like now I'm to the point where I'm like, this is not worth my time. And I will toss it. Same thing goes with manuscripts. Actually, I will edit so much of it until I realize that I'm kind of making the exact same feedback. And then I will send it back to the writer and just be like, this needs, just take these notes and I need you to expand that. And then I'll do the reread. But it'll do a disservice if I sit here and put all this energy into this and it's just repeating the same things. So yeah, kind of, maybe that's part of me just getting old. Like, I'm not going to be alive much longer. I need you to just take this. Because yeah, like, I'm just getting to that point in life. Like, ain't nobody got time. Like, I live that. think that's my problem now. So speaking of time, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys finish up. I'm going to go ahead and head out. I've got more reading to do and a kid to get to bed. So I will see you guys on Wednesday. I will be back here on Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, so an hour earlier than we were tonight. Right? So tomorrow is an in-person meeting local here in this region. And then Wednesday, I will be here at 6 o'clock. And then Thursday, we have a morning meetup. And then Friday is IHOP at 6:30. Right? So I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I will see y'all on Wednesday. Bye, you guys.